the work that one has to do to softening one's mind and heart in that way, you know, through the studies of Dharma and the practice of Dharma, comes down to realization that you need to be softened. And we have a lot of resistance. In one hand, sometimes we want to be softened up. We see the sort of much of benefits as the people who are soft and gentle and deeply kind of evolved, and how their mind and their heart and their life, and as well as also their relation with the world, how it's unbelievably better than one's. But then on the other hand, when it comes to oneself, wanting to emulate them and do the same to soften one's mind and heart with the teachings of the Buddha, with the teachings of the Buddha in general, particularly with the Lojong in the Bodhicitta, Lojong in the Changchup Kyusem, we have a lot of resistance. The resistance comes very strong as wanting to kind of stick to your old habit and wanting to stick to your own kind of like background, wanting to stick to your own self as how you see without much of a willingness to change. And then that's where one suffers. Prior to that, one is helpless. You have not exposed to the Dharma, you have not knowledge of the Dharma, you have not anything to work with. But when you have all of those, you are exposed, you have Dharma in life, and you have teachings and the wisdom in hand, and then you still resist to integrate them with yourself, then you suffer. This kind of a suffering is somewhat of what I call it, a stubborn suffering. You're suffering because you're stubborn. You're suffering because you don't want to let go the old self or your habits of the old self. It's not that you don't believe in the Dharma, but somehow the ego is so kind of, frightened by the prospect of yourself changing in that way, or having to let go of its old self, that one feels very often quite resistant and stubborn to not want to integrate the Dharma in one's life. So then you go that way for a little bit, and then the suffering kind of like becomes unbearable. And at some point when the suffering becomes unbearable, then you give in to the Dharma. Then you sort of open up fully to surrender to the Buddha Dharma Sangha.